to another A-Level Computer Science video with me, Mr Goff, for MrGoff.com. This video will focus on exception handling. Exception handling is the process of coding in solutions to possible errors that would otherwise crash your program. Some of the sorts of errors that you might get that might accidentally crash your program include a zero division error, where you're trying to divide a number by zero, which is not possible, a value error, where you try to accidentally convert a string to an integer, a file not found error, where you try to read a file or write to a file that doesn't exist. A type error is the final one that we'll look at, where you're trying to use a string, for instance, in a calculation, or the wrong type, essentially, for what you're trying to do. It should be noted that there are other types of errors as well, but these are the ones we're going to have a deeper look at. To overcome these types of problems, we use a try except statement. This tells the program to try a line of code and allows us to specify what to do if running that line of code produces an error. Inside the try block, we put the code we'd like to try, and inside the except block, we put whatever code we'd like to run instead of having the program crash. So, if we had a program where we might calculate an average of a set of values stored in an array, if we couldn't be certain that the array would not be empty, we could avoid having it crash with a zero division error by trying something like below, where we put in the try block the attempt to divide the sum of the numbers in the array by the length of the array, and then have something else to occur if it turns out that there's zero. The code below combines a while loop and try except to get a value that's in a specific range, while also accounting for the possible accidental entry of characters other than integers. You can see that if the user enters 6 as the word 6, that it generates the value error and outputs the code that is in there. However, if they enter a number that is outside the acceptable range, then they instead get the message from within the try section, and only if they enter a number that is within the range and is a valid digit will it actually stop. If we're going to attempt to open a file such as a save game file, the method below can prevent the program crashing if no such file exists with the specified name. First, we try to open the file, but then we provide additional code to specify what the problem was rather than having our program crash. In a similar way, we can use a try except to try and trap a type error so that that doesn't crash our program. You can also add else and finally blocks to a try except statement. As you can see below, code in the else block will run if there is no exception, and code in the finally block will run regardless of whether there is an exception or not. It always runs. That brings us to the end of this video on exception handling. Join me again soon when I'll be having a look at the role of stack frames in subroutines. Use the resources at MrGoff.com to help you revise computer science. And until next time, it's bye for now.